Adopt the agenda as presented.
Second.
Do we have any additions or corrections?
Joe, the topic, other business,
Other business is on there.
I don't see it on my.
It's on 7.
Okay, great. All right, good, there must be multiple copies. Thank you.
All right, so all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
Aye.
Okay.
Sorry.
Okay, so it's the next thing is the minutes of October 4th. Are there any additions or corrections to the minutes as presented? If not, somebody make a motion to accept the minutes as written.
So moved.
Okay, any further discussion? If not, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Sue Ellen, you okay? I guess you're okay.
Yes, I'm a yay. I'm just not responding with it because it's disruptive, I think.
Okay. Highway report, Danny's not here. The only thing that, I want to say is that they're going to pave the Townsend Road on Monday, I believe. No, 121, sorry, 121. And there is a discrepancy on the bid on the Townsend paving section. Bill and Danny talked, I talked to Bill before he left. He sent a copy of the bid to the paving company, and I don't know what has been responded to. Danny's not here, so I can't say it. But obviously, it's more money than we approved.
I had talked to Danny this morning and, he said he's gonna look into it when he comes back on Thursday. But it all depends on how much material they needed to use
Right,
and
but,
what the price was.
but it should have been on the bid.
Not necessarily, it all depends on the price.
Oh, okay.
And-
Well, anyway, so we don't know, we're on top of it, but we don't know, we won't know the answer until either Danny gets back from vacation, which is on Thursday, I think?
Thursday he'll be
Yeah,
back,
and Bill, I think, comes back next
next Wednesday.
Wednesday, so we'll see. Anything else?
Mike is off, Mike was off today and he'll be off again tomorrow, so all we have is David on tomorrow.
Okay,
So if anything should come up, it would be David we want to contact. Yeah, that's it on them guys that I know
okay. So if anybody sees anything that, or somebody calls you about, make sure you get in touch with Dave. Kim, you have anything?
of. Just a reminder, your second quarter taxes will be due November the 15th, which is a Monday. We might hear a little scuffle because this is the first time I'm really going to adhere to the date at 4 o'clock on the 15th taxes are due, and anytime after that, it's a 1% interest. That's what we vote on at town meeting. We've never adhered to it. We always gave them the grace to the end of the month. And we probably shouldn't. So I've been trying to ease into it and warn everybody for the last several months. And we hope it goes okay, but I might get a little bit of grumbling.
Now, what happens if somebody mails it?
I've been advertising that postmark needs to be the 15th.
Okay,
And most towns, you'll find most towns, they want their money in there by 4 o'clock on the 15th, or whatever their due date is, so I'm gonna try and adhere to that. I'll see what happens.
okay.
We had picked, and I know this isn't on the agenda, but we had talked about, November the 4th and the 9th for budget meeting, but we never chose a time. It just said the 4th or the 9th. So I looked back in the minutes and nothing was mentioned what time you guys wanted to do
Last year we
that.
did it, I think, was it 9:30 or 10? I think.
We didn't say any time and then they're not in
So,
the
I
minutes
don't
either.
know, anybody want to do it in the morning, get it over with, or?
What about Sue Ellen's availability?
I was gonna say, Sue Allen, would you be available or?
Probably not.
Okay.
But I know last year we did it it was at 9:30? I know we limited it to 2 hours.
So which one though are you gonna ask the town to come to?
Either one,
They're
both of
probably
them.
not gonna,
I mean, the organizations?
yeah, they
The
were.
first one, I should think. So that we have an opportunity to look at it for the second go around.
If they can make it that time, yeah, okay.
Well, Bill, I think Bill sent out the notices, did he not?
I didn't know.
I don't think so.
To the fire department and all that?
I haven't heard,
No?
no.
Okay, well, we need to get them out.
So that just comes into play, I was looking at the calendar and, I wanted to give a little update as to the timeline. And, we're kind of ahead of everything. We started in November for the first budget meeting and then we ended up having some right into December. So, I don't usually send off the town report till the 1st of February, probably that last week of January, 1st of February. And all articles have to be in by January the 13th. So if you got your reviews done, I'd say anytime in November and get me final figures by December, we could probably have a budget meeting in December, the beginning of December, rather than trying to squish everything in November. It's up to you.
Well, it doesn't make a difference, but December, it's getting, now you're getting into holidays.
Holidays and things like that.
People have parties, they want to go away, or.
I mean, I'm fine with leaving it like you have it, if you can get your reviews and all that done, I mean, it's fine by me, I just don't want, I just wanted to let you know, that's the timeline and the pressure doesn't have to be on if you don't.
We did last year, it's about the same time, I think.
I think we're starting a little bit earlier because we went like November towards the middle and then a little bit into December when I look on my calendar, so I'm fine with leaving it like it is.
But what does the board think?
Just a couple questions. So Kim, you said that Bill gets back next Wednesday, and that's the 27th?
Yeah, something like that.
So would that give us enough time to notify the town organizations of a meeting on November 4th?
Probably not a lot, but I can. I mean, we're only talking like Grafton Cares, Hardy, the capital budget. It's all people I can contact if you
Fire
want me to
department,
send them a
fast
notice.
one.
Right, the fire department and the fast one.
Yeah, we can do that, I mean.
Okay,
I mean, I have all their emails. I could send them out an email, inviting them to come to the, first budget meeting and give me a time.
okay. And then my second question is, if we go forward with the plan as we have it now, which would be the second meeting on November 9th,
Yeah.
then are you saying you need to have the reviews done by November 9th?
Well, that's what I'm saying. It's gonna be hard, so you'll probably want to squeeze one more final budget meeting in there.
In December, the beginning of December?
We did
Yeah,
that
or-
last year, we had one in
That's
December.
probably the one in December that
Yeah.
was the final after
Right.
you guys had everything.
Yeah, so I wouldn't, I don't, as long as you have it done by the 1st of December,
Okay.
I think we'll be fine.
So what's your date for the 4th? Your time. Your
How
time.
about 10?
Fine with me.
Night before.
The 4th.
Both.
What?
The 4th would be at 10, right?
Yeah, and the 9th at 10.
Okay.
Is there any timeline for the school to have their budgets in?
We have nothing to do with that.
We don't have anything to do with that.
I mean,
They're usually last minute and, the supervisory union produces their own books.
It's not even, they're not even at town recording.
No, they have their own
Yeah,
separate.
Yeah, it's not like it was in the old days.
Okay.
Anything else, Bill?
I just wanted to let you know, some of the dates for the articles and things like that, I'll have Bill type it up that the 13th, all articles are due. January 20th is the warning for the town meeting. January 24th is petition for officers, so if you hear of anybody that got to the 24th of January. And then the rest is pretty much boilerplate for me for town report, ballots, and town meeting.
What is the deadline is 26 for officers?
24th.
24.
According to statute. I didn't know if you heard that, Bill did contact the supervisory union and the superintendent is more than thrilled for us to have town meeting there again this year
At the school?
at the school.
Cool.
Yeah.
Okay.
So Bill, got a reply from Angela from the, principal, what can she do to help? And he heard from the supervisor. So we're good to go then.
Okay, great.
That's great news.
That's all I have.
I got one thing, Joe. I think of interest to the taxpayers, I was talking to Michelle the other day, and she showed me the delinquent taxes, and they're down to $11,000. That's all there is.
Really, really, she's worked really hard. She's done an exceptional job getting it down. Yeah.
Because they've always been up very high.
Yeah.
You
And,
know what?
I'd say actually there's maybe one or two that make up 50 to 75% of that.
There were two of them, though, you know.
Yeah,
What I'll do is, I haven't done a chairman report the last 2 times because there's really nothing to report, but there is a lot of things going on now. So I can mention that in my report.
that'd be great. She's worked really hard on it.
Yeah, get the total of what it was before, but I think, it was 132,000.
Yeah.
Well, I'll say it's down substantially.
Yeah.
I don't think it's ever been that low in my lifetime.
She was asking me and I don't know. I don't think it's been, but it hasn't been that low since I've been here. So that.
Well, when I was on the board before, it was high. And we had the select board had to push the Lincoln tax director to go after some foreclosures and whatever, which they never did. It was pretty high. Can't remember the numbers, but I know it was high now.
Yep, it's down there.
Yeah, that's great. Okay, cemetery committee, John?
What did we have on that? We met, Bill and myself, that was Brian Jones 2 weeks ago. And he didn't realize that we maybe wanted quite so much land, but we went over with him, and he came back and said that he had to run it by his wife first, but she had no idea what it was. So that's what he's gonna do, and he will not be up until Thanksgiving, and then he'll let us know one way or the other.
John, how much land are we talking about?
I think it's probably 2.5 acres, 3 acres. He thought it was the strip in back of the cemetery, but that's the right of way.
Did everybody get this from Bill? Because this was,
I don't remember that, Joe.
yeah, I think everybody got it, because I saw you in the meal, but this is where the right of way is, and this is where the cemetery is. It doesn't indicate how much land, but it gives you an idea of where it is.
Would you mind if I took a copy of that after?
Sure, she sent your emails, I know you got it, but you can
Yeah,
certainly.
do you think I could take a copy of it, please?
Yeah, but.
Yeah, that was the other thing, he didn't have a copy of it right away, so he understood that.
The other thing on the committee report is that, I was talking to Bill, and Bill had asked, Ivor Stevens to give a bid to do the cemetery. And I told Bill, don't, because I think we as a board need to, make a decision, do we want to put it up a bid? Just having one person doing it's not, I don't think that's a policy. So what we need to know from the board tonight is, do we want to put maintenance of the cemeteries out to bid?
Joe, what's the general cost of that contract?
Have no idea. Have no idea, Sue Allen, what it's gonna cost.
Okay,
It's never been done, but you gotta remember that we have the cost of Walter, we have the cost of his helper, we have the cost of the equipment, we have the workman's comp, and all those other things that you would be relieved of. So I don't know if it's gonna be a savings or not, because we don't know what the bid would be. But it would be wonderful to have somebody do it. And then, as I understand, Gail Ann has,
Well, I'm not sure.
well, sorry, she's
Yeah.
indicating that she might want to become the sexton. And she would then handle the paperwork along with Kim and the burials and all that kind of stuff. And then the select board, all we would have to do is just monitor the cemeteries to make sure, the committee would do that, to make sure they're being maintained properly. So the question is, you need a motion to decide if you want to put it out for bid. It's no harm. I mean, we'll find out. We don't have to accept it, but at least we know what potential cost would be.
I'd like to see that, local person a Grafton person would get.
I would hope so, but, you know, on bids, yes,
Can I just ask a question? So, but all seven, you wouldn't have them all maintain the same, right? All determined that in the past.
well, all cemeteries are maintained the same except Styles.
Well, but like some don't need to be mowed all the time.
Well, no, I mean, that would have to be part of the.
That's what I was getting at.
Yeah. The only one that they only do once a year is Styles. All the other ones that are in there, whether they mow it every day or every week or every month,
Yeah.
I guess it depends on how the grass grows and whatever.
So Joe, I think I remember you're saying that, you felt the cemetery was covered for this year
Yes.
with Austin and one other person.
Yes,
So is that what you're suggesting, that the maintenance of the cemetery, if we decide to bid it out, would be for next year?
yes,
Okay,
yes. This is starting for 2021,
okay,
22.
okay. For, not fiscal year 22, but calendar year.
Yeah, no,
Okay.
the next season,
Mhm.
So you would start in spring,
yes.
the May.
Okay.
So this year the boys would do a cleanup.
Well, hoping. You know, and if it doesn't, then maybe we have to, you know, hire somebody to do if they can't get it done. But it's my understanding that they're able to do that.
Are you aware that, Walter had left a lot of the town equipment up in that barn? And Stan Mack has the key to the barn, if you want that equipment.
I understand that there is no equipment.
Well, according to Pat Mack, there is.
Yeah, but I understand a lot of the equipment is not towns, but I asked Joan and Joan didn't know, but,
I'll check with Stan and Pat.
okay.
I was gonna say, we had weed whackers and things.
Weed whackers,
Yeah,
weed blower,
equipment, yeah.
mower.
Not a ride-on, but
There's a
Yeah,
push
push
mower in
mower.
Old Town Cemetery right now, I can tell you. I saw it yesterday. It's just sitting there. I assumed it's the town's.
All right, well,
Yeah, check with, Max, they need to know what.
Does Stan take care of that?
Stan was taking care of it,
Yeah, you know.
and he's got the key to the barn.
okay, all right, thank you. All right, so we need a motion if somebody wants to make that or whatever.
How will we know the cost of the current operation to
We can do
compare
that.
to the?
Kim can do
Kim
that.
can do that.
I can go down.
So Kim could do the
Sure.
cost of the current, so we have
Absolutely.
something to compare it to.
Does anybody have a balance sheet, expenditure sheet there?
I don't have.
Yeah, John does, and there's a section. for
It runs about $23,000. Labor is 20 and the other is benefits and contract expenses.
And does that include the work that Gail Ann is talking about doing, or does that not include that?
Well, for starters, we have to mention, I mean, that just happened to pop up that, somebody said something about it, but I was assuming maybe there'd be a stipend like we do at health officer. And I was looking through the new handbook that, the compensation handbook that just came. That's what, some of them do is when you look under cemetery agent sexton, they get compensations. That just came today, but I happened to think last time that maybe that's a course you can go is
Yeah.
do a stipend, and they have to be available Saturdays for, especially more than spring, for a burial. I know that when it came time to bury cremations, that was what mainly Walter did, was the little 4x4 holes, but a full body was always done by the actual funeral home.
Right, but the funeral home said they'd be more than happy to dig the hole for the cremations as well.
For right now.
No, in forever if they wanted to do.
Well, that depends, because you've got a lot of individuals that will keep their ashes until the next spouse decides to move on, or they bring them here, and so they have their own private, they don't go through a funeral.
Well, that's okay.
So that's when they contact Walter, and Walter does the digging.
Right, but the funeral said if that were the case, they would then come and dig.
Yeah, but I'm sure there's a whole nother charge for that.
Oh, yeah,
They like to
that'd be
just
charged.
contact
Right.
the sexton themselves and have somebody capable of doing the holes.
So that would be for another fee, you're suggesting.
But I think we're getting ahead of ourselves here, because I think the first thing we have to do is see whether we want to bid it out, whether Gail is going to be a sexton or what.
Yeah, just advertise it.
Yeah, but we just need
Just
the
like
authorization to
we're
go
doing
do
with
it, that's all. Okay, someone?
I make a motion to bid out the cemetery, maintenance.
Second.
Oh,
Any further discussion?
Is
I
is it possible or conventional at all for us to give, to Kathy's earlier point, to give some kind of points or recognition for local people, local bidders, so that we can keep something as important as the town of Grafton Cemetery being worked on by local people?
Okay, Suzanne, the bidding process is to find out who the lowest is. You never have to accept the lowest. That's up to, the board can choose the highest if they want that person. So we have the ability to do that once the bids come in, assuming you're gonna get more than one bid.
So if we get more than one bid, and as a board, we decide that we
wanna
prefer to
get that
have
towards
a
the- yes, you can do
Grafton
that, yes.
supplier, then we can do that as a board.
As long as the board approves it.
Okay.
Any other discussion? If not, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, so I'll have Bill draw it up at the front and we'll put it, I guess we'll put it in the Grafton, maybe you can put that in the Grafton News, what should we do it? I don't know, Bill's, you've been using me for some things and,
It depends on how urgent it is, I would think.
well, what is the deadline for you guys?
I don't know, it's like next week or something.
Yeah, so maybe.
It might miss this
Might
month
miss this,
because
but
he's
we'll
not
just
done,
do it.
he's not
I
done
don't know.
We'll just do it on the regular, and we can put it up, notice upstairs.
Yeah.
Okay, all right. Highway committee?
Yeah, thank you. As you know, we've been monitoring the cost of the Walker Bridge, and we're in the phase right now of preliminary planning and right-of-way authorization. And so Carolyn Coda, the representative from V-Trans we're working with, has sent to us an accounting for the first quarter spending. The total fiscal year budget for the preliminary planning and the right-of-way authorization is $135,000. And it turns out that in the first quarter, a little over $60,000 has been spent, which is almost half of the full year's budget. So she is forecasting that there will likely be an overrun of this budget. And so that is the reason why we're closely monitoring it, because as you know, with V-Trans, it's happened to us once before, where the costs got ahead of the forecast that they had given to the town of Grafton. So just wanted the board to know and the public to know that we are working on that. As John has said many times, sometimes there's not a thing we can do, but but we think there is value in at least monitoring it and keeping you informed. So the costs are associated with acquiring the environmental permits and the right-of-way and the final plan development. So it may be that just that work has been concentrated more in the first quarter. We'll see how it plays itself out.
Thank you.
And just so you know, they were in this afternoon or this morning, and they did the final update for research for the right-of-ways, which the report they should be final by December, she said.
Oh, that's good. And that may mean that they've done a lot of work for it in the first quarter.
Well, one of the other things it's doing is they're hiring outside services,
That's right.
so that's driving the cost.
That could be good and bad.
So John is absolutely right. The split of the cost is about $37,000 for external consultants and about $25,000 for V-Trans people.
I have a question not relating to the bridge, but highway. And maybe Mike's here, he can add his expertise. There was a call, I believe, past week, a fire call, and they had difficulty finding the addresses on Anderson Road. So apparently, correct me if I'm wrong, Mike, those folks do not have the addresses marked.
It's the upper end of Anderson Road, which I understand was renumbered.
It was renumbered.
For C9 purposes
Right.
in 2020. And a lot of the homes have not responded to a request from the town to renumber according to the new number designations. And as a matter of fact, I was planning to bring it up in the public comment, thanks to Kathy. I spoke with Keith, and Keith has done all he can to provide key dispatch with both both the old and the new numbering system for that stretch of Upper Anderson Road. And he's embedded some notes in our synergy notification system. But I was going to suggest, and maybe you're going to suggest the same thing, Kathy, that if the town originally notified those homeowners that were affected by the renumbering, it's a little more than a year later, it would be helpful to perhaps resend something asking if homeowners who have not already remarked their property, please do so. I would guess that we were probably delayed in locating the home of the 911 call early Saturday morning by 15 or 20 minutes anyway. And it turns out it didn't make a difference, but it was certainly added stress and unnecessary response delays.
When Bill gets back, I'll have him resend the letters as a reminder. So, that's a good idea.
The other thought I have, and I haven't been up on Anderson Road for a bit, but is it marked where it's Grafton ends and then Rockingham begins, and then Rockingham ends and Grafton begins?
I don't know.
There is a town line sign that marks the beginning of Grafton coming from Rockingham as you go up Anderson. I think if you stay on Anderson all the way to Bell and come down by the town garage, that's all Grafton, right?
Yes.
So there is a street line, or street sign that says Grafton T/L town line.
Right on the corner.
Near the, probably half a mile or a quarter mile up the road.
Yeah, I think it's important that folks, that house is marked, because you're talking 15 to 20 minutes and it's a heart issue or a trauma issue, that's a fatality.
I agree, but sometimes then we have no, as I understand it, there's nothing in the law that gives the town to do any fines or anything. It's just a request. And if the people don't want to do it, then we have no say.
The additional complication is that you end up with community mailbox rules, so you don't even have, the mailboxes were all marked correctly. The signs near the home site, the homes themselves were incorrect.
Okay.
So it adds to the
I
confusion.
know. But I'll have Bill resend everything.
Is there any role for the town health officer if we don't get a satisfactory response to the re-notification? Could the town health officer visit these homes and ask them the correct number out?
I don't know if that's his responsibility or not. We can check it.
Okay. That might be helpful. You, Kathy, foresee any problem other than on Anderson Road with this problem?
No,
I've been on calls and I can't find the house numbers, and, go to the wrong house, or.
there were many houses in Grafton that are not marked. And there's really nothing we can do about it.
Right.
And people walk them and they put them in the trees and you can't see them and, I mean, it's unfortunate, but, and you try to explain to the people, but they don't want to do it.
Could be a fundraiser to have someone make markers up and do by donation.
Is this something that maybe Grafton Improvement Association or would that
Oh,
would be a project?
To be proactive about it.
Yeah. Anybody here remember the GIA? Do you remember? Anyone here?
I go to them.
If you know who, maybe somebody should talk to Don and see if they're willing to do something on that. Okay. The Parks Committee. The only thing that I know is that we're pending applications, so why don't you fill us in?
Yeah, if you don't mind, I just have I think as everybody knows, our letters of interest were accepted and passed the hurdle to go forward with full application for both grants. But we received a notification that it would be very unlikely that we would receive funding under both of the grants. And we met this morning, Al Sands and Marco and myself, to kind of discuss where we were. We have received more specific feedback back on the URSA grant, still waiting for the BORAC grant. We've looked at the amount of oversubscription to the budgeted amounts for both those grants, and looking at our own priorities, we're recommending that we focus on the URSA grant because it represents the monies that would finish the parking lot, do all of the easy access trails, and basically open up the park the way we had originally intended, and provide for the more acceptable trails and things like that. Whereas if you recall, the BORAC grant was for capital projects like the lean-to, perhaps a restroom, and even we put in money for a pavilion, all of which are perhaps a little bit harder to define right now, and we wouldn't want to necessarily get funding for that and then not have the funding for the trails. So that's kind of our intention is to, I'm going to draft a letter responding to both of the grant managers, accepting their guidance, and they told us to be careful and prioritize what we want to ask for. And we're hoping that if we show a responsible, position on not going for both grants, we may actually help our URSA grant have a greater chance of success. So I'm going to draft that letter. We'll copy it to the select board and go forward with that approach. The other thing that I would like to ask the select board is perhaps for either an agenda item to be on the next select board meeting. We based our budgetary estimates for the trail work on budget and material guidance from Danny, I think based on the expectation of using town equipment and town labor rates to do that. Rather than go out and bid and probably drive that cost up, we'd like to ask the select board if you could confirm your willingness to have the town do that next year, obviously factored in with other projects, but it will give us the better bang for the buck, I think, if, finishing the parking lot and doing the excavation and surfacing of the trails could be done with town equipment rather than bringing in an outside contractor.
Okay, so what do you actually want to put on the agenda?
Well, I guess I'll ask, I'm not even sure, but I'd like to have the select board confirm the willingness to have town equipment and personnel do the excavating and surfacing of the trails.
Okay, I'll put it on the agenda.
If that's framed correctly, Joe, I don't really know exactly.
Well, I'll just put it on the town, basically, can the town do some of the work and the board can.
It's as I say, the budget numbers that we put in and submitted in our grant application were predicated on that kind of charge rate. Obviously, it's not exact, but it might be different if we went out and did a private contract.
Okay. Well, John can probably back me up. The town is having a tough time even complete what they have to do now. And Danny's not here, so we'll talk to Danny and we'll put it on the agenda and you guys can come in. I think the meeting is November, what is it, first, second? I don't remember.
December 1st.
First,
Yeah.
and we'll put it on the agenda. And we'll talk to Danny, so he'll have some feedback. Okay?
Okay. The only other thing is just back to the issue of boundary. We're going to lay out a path that meets our slope criteria and see if we get anywhere near what we think is the limits of the property line for the village park. And until that time, if we don't feel we're coming near it, I don't think we need to spend more effort to survey or define the boundary line between Keegan and village park property. And when we get to the point where we had said we would establish lines that say you're leaving town property or village park property and entering private property, we'll put those signs approximately, at that border. But
That's fine.
until and unless we really think we're going to need to approach, we'll either find a different way or be more specific as to where the line is.
Right. I'll talk to Bill, it's coming to logging time, so I think it'd be nice to get a hold of the state to see, what their schedule is, when they think they want to start and whatever, so we'll know that.
That'd be great, because obviously a lot of our expectations are based on having that logging done this winter.
Okay.
Right, and better sooner than later.
Has all the surveys been done?
There's no savings.
No, there is, as I understand it, there is,
On the line.
distances and endpoints, and it's a straight line, I don't think we've had anybody go in there and transit it and mark it. I've marked it roughly with, GPS, phone GPS and then a Benzo map, which might be accurate enough. I don't know, there's some differences of opinion, but for now, I don't think we need to pursue it any further
Good.
at this time.
Good. Well, thank you, Mike. Personnel committee, the only thing that reads is on there, we all got a draft. Do you have a deadline when we can actually get the?
Well, we have one more meeting.
Okay.
It was delayed because of Bill's vacation and a new baby for Kim, his grandson. I'm gonna meet with Kim, on Thursday, and she has, I believe, some of Bill's notes, and additions. We've met twice with the highway folks. We've met twice with Bill. Met once with Kim, so hopefully we'll get it wrapped up and make those additions. We are recommending that our town, lawyer look at it before it's, that we vote on it, or have any other discussions that may change stuff. Anything else? Do we have a date? Is it November?
So we don't want to put, you won't be ready for the agenda on the first, correct? I just want to know so I can put it on the agenda if need be. If it's gonna go
We'll
to.
know better after we meet with.
Okay, all right, okay, well, let me know, let Bill know, and we'll put it on the agenda for if we can't do it then, we'll do it on the next one, which is, I don't know, 15th or 18th or something like that. So. Okay, thank you. Buildings and ground, the architect firm, we're here for 3-4 hours, I guess, the measurements.
They were here almost today, I guess.
All day, I guess.
Till like 3 o'clock in the afternoon, yeah.
So they're doing their thing, and so that's, and we have not heard anything back from Coleman on the heat pump, so I don't know if that's.
They're all back ordered, he
Yeah.
had 93 of them
Right, so
back ordered.
they're probably on the ships that are waiting in San Francisco to be unloaded.
Gus has done his, part of the electrical work that needed to be done,
Right. Yeah, it's all done.
so that's all set.
And Bill has filed, or is in the process of filing the grant applications to get reimbursed for all that. Thanks. And that's part of that deal.
I don't know if that, we hadn't decided, if that was gonna come out of the town hall maintenance, or if it's gonna be ARPA funds.
Well, I think we get ARPA if we can. I think.
We've got the ARPA
Yeah.
funds,
Right.
and we could use that unless we're going to save it for the elevator.
Well, yeah, we'll have to wait and see, but there is a possibility that we can do that. As I understand.
Was there a decision on town maintenance versus the grant?
I'm sorry, what's that?
Did you make a decision on town maintenance use or the?
No, it's not necessary yet, Kathy, because,
Well, I did pay Gus out of town hall maintenance, only because nothing's been put in it yet, and we do have a budget of 5,000. I can always do a journal entry and
Right.
move it if
Move it out.
anybody changes their mind, but no one was around today, and I just figured we'd put it under maintenance as electrical work.
yeah. The wastewater committee had a Zoom meeting with, all the parties. And, we are awaiting, the fire and bond, contract. I forget, Lynette recommended to us that we increased the, contract with the time bond to include water. Since the money is available to the town and there's no expense to the town. But they're claiming that the feds are urging the towns who are looking at septic to do both. So they're gonna come in with a contract that includes not only doing the engineering for a septic system, but also an engineering for a town water system. Doesn't mean we have to do it.
Right.
But Lynette has encouraged us that if we don't do it, she basically told us that we're brain dead because the money is there and that's what the state wants. And so we should do it because we might not have an opportunity again if something ever happens. So, we want, we can make that final decision once we get the application contract from Pine Bluff.
I do have one thing that, this is by third party, but, Gary at the school had seen Michelle last week and just said, what is happening with the whole water situation? Because I think back when the committee was together, there was supposed to be a conversation with Gary, and he's heard nothing since last
I
year.
can tell you a little bit about that. That was one of the reasons why they encouraged us to go for the water, because they don't know what to do about the school water yet. It's still in the hands of the engineers and the muckamucks.
Okay.
But that's why they encouraged it, because in the event that they couldn't find a suitable place for a well or whatever, then there might have to be a mini municipal water just for the school and the house that's involved. So that's why they encouraged us to do that. But there's no decisions on the school water, that Lynette or Ty Bond or anybody has told me, but they are looking at it.
Okay, all right.
And they
At
are
least I
concerned
can relay that to Gary, that, it's kind of part of the engineering, and right now we've forgotten.
They are concerned about it, and it's not gonna go away. It's gotta be fixed, that's as I understand. How and when, I have no idea. But that's an issue that's
Okay.
still out there.
All right, I'll let Gary know.
Joe, is there any timeline that'll be forthcoming about the project, total project?
Well, no timeline. The time bomb was supposed to give the contract either the end of last week or this week, and Bill is not here, so I don't know if it's here or not, but
Okay.
they promised us that it would be here within 10 days, so as soon as, if it's back, then the committee will take a look at this contract, and, we'll go forward with something more than that.
And part of the contract will be for them to manage the project and provide the town timeline for when various steps will be taken in the process.
Well, I don't know, I haven't seen the contract, but we did talk extensively with both of them, and they are going to manage the entire process, so I'm assuming that they will do that. Okay, and they also indicated that there would be a series of meetings, preliminary meetings as well, educational meetings, and all that kind of stuff, so. And they thought that they would probably start, once the contract was signed, they would start the preliminaries, but they wouldn't do anything until probably spring, unless we have a very mild winter, and they can get in and do whatever they have to do.
Okay. Thank you.
All right. Anything else? Other business?
So I just have a brief announcement to make. It turns out that this year Halloween in Grafton is going to happen as normal, which is great news. The Grafton Elementary School parade is going to take place. The dinner is going to take place at 5 o'clock at the chapel, and then the trick-or-treaters will be coming out at 5:30 to 7 o'clock. And the elementary school is hoping that there will be full town participation in this event, with people staffing various houses that may or may not be occupied, as well as residents coming out and helping to give tricks and treats to the quick kids. The question has been raised, since we have so many kids coming through the village at one time, if we could possibly offer some support for people to have candy to give away. And I thought that was a really great and interesting idea. And I just wanted to throw that out. I was thinking I would talk to either the church or Grafton Cares and see if there may be some way we could help townspeople make sure they have enough candy for this number of kids.
And the improvement association for that. That's the kind of thing they should be doing.
All right, we'll take care of that.
I was a reminder that there is the celebration for Walter on Sunday. Parade, I believe, is at 12:30. And then luncheon is at River Ledge at 1 o'clock, is that correct? Okay.
It's coming Sunday.
So,
It's coming.
any other business? If not, a motion to, public comment?
This is Charles Bowman. I have a comment.
Go ahead.
I just heard about the school well. I have been dealing with the state regarding my situation. And I have volunteered for the school to be able to use some of my land. I have a fee to dig a well because I understand that they don't have any place to dig a well. So I just want the selectmen to know that, if that helps in any way.
Okay, Charlie, thank you. It really had nothing to do with us, but thank you for your volunteering.
That's great.
Well, I thought it did. I thought you just mentioned.
I mentioned it way back that he had a
Okay, I don't recall.
committee. People.
Okay,
Oh, I did.
well, thank you, Charlie.
All right, you're welcome. Thank you.
Okay, at the door of the public comment, motion to adjourn? Somebody make a motion? Second?
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, thank you, everybody.
Yeah.
Good day. There was someone scheduled.
She's going on Saturday at 24.